All right, today we're diving into something pretty amazing, but it's something that's almost totally invisible. It's the science of freshness, that whole hidden world of engineering that keeps your food crisp and delicious, sometimes weeks after it was even picked. So let's get into it. I mean, seriously, think about it. You pick up an apple from the store, and it has that perfect, satisfying crunch, but it might have been picked weeks, even months ago. It's something we just totally take for granted, right? But the journey it took to get to you, well, it's this incredible hidden dance of precision, timing, and some seriously cool technology. So, where does this all begin? You might think the story of keeping food fresh starts with a big, cold refrigerator. But actually, no. It starts way, way before that, out in the field, right under the hot sun. See, before you can even think about keeping produce fresh, you need healthy produce to begin with. And that means, right from the get-go, it's a battle out on the farm. Farmers are constantly fighting off pests that want a free lunch and diseases that can ruin an entire crop. The journey to that crisp bite you love, it all starts by winning this very first fight. Okay, so the moment, literally the second, that fruit or vegetable is picked, a clock starts ticking. A big, invisible countdown clock. It's suddenly a frantic race against nature's own process of decay. And those first few hours, they mean absolutely everything. And this is where that race gets, well, pretty intense. Get this, just 1 hour lost in the heat of the field can wreck the quality of produce as much as 20 hours in storage. Let that sink in for a second. A single hour can cost you almost a full day of shelf life. It's just a hard reality, and it makes what happens next absolutely critical. So what's the solution? You've got to get that heat out, and you've got to do it fast. This whole process is called pre-cooling, and it is, without a doubt, the first and most important link in what's known as the cold chain, basically an unbroken, temperature-controlled highway from the farm all the way to the store. This really shows you those first few kind of frantic steps. You harvest the produce, then bam, it has to be pre-cooled, usually within just 4 to 6 hours. Only then, after the heat is gone, is it sorted and finally moved into the real high-tech sanctuary, a modern cold storage facility. But here's the thing. Getting inside that cold sanctum is really just the beginning of the story. This isn't just one giant walk-in freezer. No, it's way more complex. It's a series of highly specialized, unique environments. And that's because, as it turns out, not all fruits and veggies, well, they don't exactly play well together. Yeah, if you just threw everything together at one temperature and one humidity level, it would be a complete disaster. You'd have some things wilting, others getting moldy, and some would just spoil everything else around them. It really takes a deep understanding of what each and every item needs to thrive. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Take a look at the temperature. It's the same for both groups, right around freezing. But now look at the humidity. It's worlds apart. Your leafy greens and carrots, they need this super moist, almost foggy environment to stay crisp. But what happens if you put your onions and garlic in there? They just rot. They need that air to be dry and crisp. This is exactly why these massive cold storage facilities are designed with all these different rooms for different groups of produce. And then you've got this other thing to worry about, the ethylene factor. Just think of ethylene gas as this little chemical messenger that some fruits release, and it's basically screaming, hey everyone, it's time to ripen and get old. Fruits like apples and bananas, they're constantly sending out this message. So if you put ethylene-sensitive stuff like leafy greens or carrots in the same room, you're pretty much telling them to spoil like right now. They have to be kept completely separate. So how on earth do you build a system that can handle all of these complex, competing needs? Well, it all comes down to an incredibly detailed blueprint, a set of really strict technical standards that control every single aspect of how these places are designed and run. And to make sure everyone's on the same page, governments and industry bodies create these super detailed technical standards. In India, for instance, it's the National Horticulture Board that literally writes the rulebook. It's the official guide that engineers have to follow to build these facilities so they work safely and efficiently. And when I say the rules are specific, I mean really specific. Take this number, 170 cubic meters per hour per metric ton. What is that? That's the airflow required to get that pre-cooling done right. So it's not just about making a room cold. It's about engineering this powerful, consistent wind that's literally pulling the heat out of every single piece of produce in that room. It's pretty wild. And that precision, it just goes deeper and deeper. We're talking about the thickness of the insulation being specified down to the millimeter. The spacing of the little metal fins on the cooling units measured in fractions of an inch. They even control CO2 levels and dictate exactly how many times the air has to be completely changed out every day. It's an environment that is controlled down to the tiniest, most mind-boggling detail. So, when you kind of zoom out and look at the big picture, you start to see how all these pieces click together. It's this vast, totally invisible system that connects what students learn in agricultural science with this high-precision, hardcore engineering. And you can see how it all connects, right? The agricultural science we talked about at the beginning, that defines all the problems, the pests, the natural decay, that ticking clock. And then the engineering standards we just looked at, they provide the solutions, that intense airflow, the exact humidity, the different temperatures. It's really a perfect marriage of identifying a challenge and then engineering a brilliant solution. And this, right here, is the ultimate point. The next time you're enjoying a super crisp apple or a fresh salad, you'll know it didn't happen by accident. It's the result of this incredible, hidden system working perfectly in the background, all the way from the farm, through that whole cold chain, and right to your kitchen. This whole invisible system, it's really just one example of the amazing science that powers our daily lives. So the next time you take that crisp bite of an apple, just ask yourself, what other hidden technologies are out there, quietly making my world work?